Hold on, before. I know he go on his tangents. I ain't gonna have him go down there, but what I am gonna say is you talked about the those energy packs, man. And you were one of the energy packs for the SPC when you went over to Rap A Lot and able to bring them to that larger platform. Talk about what it meant to even do that. I know Nip went over there and you went over there, but Nip ain't here, so I'm just
Right. Going over there, allowed me to again, recognize a plethora of different things that I learned in the music business. I was able to branch out. I was able to receive major notoriety out. So everybody could see who I was and so forth. And the flip side of that, I also got to see that my family is home is SPC. That's what I got to see out of all of it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm grateful and thankful for everything that I learned. Because I really didn't learn. I know this sounds arrogant, but I speak the truth. I really didn't learn a goddamn thing from nobody. That's the fact. That's probably why I'm the way I am. Because I'm that nigga. I'm supposed to feel like that. And that's why I feel I'm around a bunch of us who say I'm that nigga. So you looking at the niggas. You see what I'm saying? And we really don't say a lot. But I bet you ain't nobody finna grab a mic or grab a DJ set or whoever and want to compete against the SPC. They are going to lose. You know what I'm saying? And we don't carry that, but we carry that. You see what I'm saying? Because we're not arrogant. We're not proud and pride come before, destruction come before that. You know what I'm saying? Pride come before destruction. A haughty look before a fall, right? So we don't carry that. But what I learned is, through all my walks of life and where I went to different places, SPC is the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. That's what I learned. You see what I'm saying? And I appreciate everything that I did learn, though. Go ahead, you got it.
Talk a little bit about, because you were saying, how y'all may not get the credit and things like that. Why do y'all feel that it's like that? Like, of course, everybody know SPC, but, sometimes things will come up and it's like, okay, there's no mention of the SPC or, that type of thing. Do y'all, I don't know, just talk a little bit about it.
This is what it is. Part of it. This ain't all of it, but it's part of it. What it is that when you are among the first to establish something, there's no electricity on in the building at the time. There's no lights. It's nothing there. It's nothing but trees and forests. So we was the ones who had the axes in our hand that chopped all that down. We cleared that land and all. So it opened the lane for the next people to come in and get the radio play and get the notoriety and get the exposure. Right. So our role was just a different role. So with that being said and being so long ago, now generations come along and they like, well, I ain't never heard of them. Well, you never heard of us because, again, there's no songs you can point out that was playing a lot on the radio at that time. You can say, well, oh, they sung that. Nah, you don't know what we sung unless you were in that era and you was getting them underground cassettes and CDs out these stores and that music that was spreading on a word of mouth level as opposed to being on some mainstream radio. So that's one of the reasons. And so with that being said, if something does happen later on, once the scene is established like it is now, the people who come from out of town and come from different places, they're gonna latch on to what's current or what they have been exposed to based on from the time the scene did pop off in the city. And the originators sometimes get lost in that. Every blue moon, somebody will say, nah, man, y'all got to contact the SPC, but that's very rare. But to Dope's point, at this stage, we don't even look for that. That's right. You know what I'm saying? We don't seek that because when you've been underground from day one, that's all you know anyway. So, and we have learned how to function in an underground capacity to where it's like, okay, if they call, if they say, hey man, I like the interview, we more than accommodating. Right. But we not running to them. If we hear that something is happening in town, oh man, they doing this thing and it's such and time. Okay, cool. Because we don't begrudge nobody else who get that shot. Right. Without a doubt. It's like, because when we talk about H-Town, man, we got love for every artist, every clique that ever came through here because they helped to establish that whole. They are part of that just like we are. So we don't begrudge any of them, but within our own self, we like, okay, it's a part, let me be honest, it's a part of me that be like, they can do it. I hope it's successful, but it's not valid. if we not include. If you do anything that is supposed to speak on historical significance in terms of this city, and not one of us is represented or mentioned or spoken to or talked about, it's not valid.
Right.
It could be good.
Yeah.
I can enjoy it and say, well, yeah, them boys did that, but it ain't legit.
It's not official.
Not included.
It
Yeah.
don't have that official
Right.
stamp.
In other
Approval.
words, if I could, in other words, microphone. You need to put this. In other words, the 2022 Houston Rodeo was not valid. And any other historical thing that they plan or are going to plan. So what they should do is, who's ever in control of that, gather themselves together, give them white folks and whatever they doing, and let them know that the pioneers suffer so the settlers can get rich. So we need to get with the pioneers and give them their just due. That's why Houston does not have a how did it start story, because there's people who are trying to hide their hand and take credit for things that did not do. And we're the ones behind a lot of it. I'm saying? But what we know is, I'm past the mic, what we know is a truth. Truth is forever. A lie is for just a short time.
I just want to say, how can you not have one of the longest standing cliques
Right.
putting out music, pretty much in music, period? You got Wu-Tang, and they ain't all together right now. I'm saying the longest standing clique. How can you not tell the history of the dude that taught Screw how to do his first beat? See what I'm saying? So this part of the history, man, that people don't get to see and they don't get to hear, because there's always, like Kay said, there's always been a beginning, and we were the clearing of the field.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So all the technology that we have, of course, it wasn't here, and it wasn't there. But as the height of Houston rap got going, it's like, you know, we was already solidified on the underground scene, and that saves us today. But I think the history should be told. I think people should reach people that know, and they sit there and make these documentaries, and they make these things, and they make these shows. They know. A lot of them know.
And we're gonna do it ourselves.
But you,
I
no,
know.
yeah. But you send.
So that's the terrorist. So like, excuse me. That's the terrorist poster right there. Right when I left Rap a Lot. Now that's a popular DJ Screw picture. I know you've seen that. Look over DJ Screw's picture. Show him, what do you see? You see my poster on his wall in his house. Man, get my phone back.
Yeah, I mean,
we you know, like Kay said, there's no jealousy, there's no envy or nothing, because we love what we do, you know, and without the world, we would still do this. If it was 3 people that listen to this music, we all would still be doing this same, selling them to them 3 people. So, you know, it's just a history that should be told, and if you're gonna tell the history, tell it right, because I'm a factual person.
and again, and too, and like I say, somebody told me a long time ago, they say sometimes blowing your own horn is the only way to hear some music.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it's still our responsibility to tell our own story too. We got to tell that story.
Right,
you know, if we want it told, if we recognize that nobody is going to tell it, because the other thing you got to understand too, I'm a realist. They may not tell it because they may not know, because of the route that we took. So we can't, in that respect, we can't be even upset at nobody, because it's like, if somebody don't know, they come from out of town and want to do something, hey man, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So if we tell our story, if we lay it out like that, which we do, you know, blankets are always, we the first click, putting it down like that, then people can say, oh, okay, I didn't know. We wouldn't have known that Little Richard was the architect of rock and roll, and all these people. So if he wasn't on TV saying it, hey man, y'all stole that from me. Don't nobody give me my credit, don't nobody, you know. And people gotta understand, it's not always coming from a place of like hate or anger. It ain't coming from anger. It's just coming from the point of like, hey man, this needs to be acknowledged, because people will unintentionally or intentionally write you out of history. But if you alive and well and you allow yourself to be written out of history, that's not their fault. That's your fault. So we have to get down and say, hey man, hold on, wait a minute. Come here, youngster. Let me educate you on how this thing will start to go through the progressions. The same way, if we talk about what we established, but we fail to mention, like we said earlier, Wicked Cricket and the guys that came before us, it's disrespectful.
It is.
You know, so I don't begrudge nobody. All them, anybody, them my brothers. I love every last one of them. It's not, this conversation, this topic is not even about that. Right. It's just basically to say that, look, we are establishing and letting people know who we are, what we did, where we came from, what we established, and then you do the research and figure out for yourself. And then if you come back and say, okay, man, I didn't know, then that's cool. You know, that's how it goes down. Whatever the Creator got for us is for us, plain and simple.
Yeah. Sales don't determine you being the best. Don't put that out there like that.
That's true, but at the same time, I think that, you know, you can only edify yourself to a certain degree. You got to have other people endorsing you. You got to have other people in the game acknowledging the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put out 7 albums in one time. Like, come on, who done that?
Our fans know.
The fans know.
When that happened, that rodeo happened, the fans, they
But-
know also.
But you know, to put out 7 albums at one time, that you got to think, a person got to think about how much work went off into that to make that happen. How many songs didn't get selected? The whole process. To do one album, the process is grueling and crazy.
Right.
But to do 7, come on, man, should have been the Guinness Book of World Records. At the end of the day, it take everybody, you know, now outside of the SPC to be like, SPC. We can't sit up here and toot our own horn and expect, because it's gonna look like, hey, they tooting their own horn. We don't want to hear that.
Right.
We want to hear what everybody else got to say about this clique. Just to be real, you know, like me and Blank was having this exact conversation this morning. I was saying, you know, he was telling me how he not promoting the shows that he do on his site because other people gonna promote it.
Right.
But that makes sense. It make more sense than if he gonna sit there and feed the promotion of himself doing the show on his social feed all day. That's gonna mess up the algorithm where he gets shut down and not get seen, number one, and number two, the people that do see it over and over on his page gonna be like, I don't want to see that. I'm tired of seeing that. But if 50 other people is saying, oh, K Reno, then bam, the edification, the acknowledgement, the endorsement, you know, we acknowledging each other. That's how it's supposed to be. You know, we gonna acknowledge each other, we all SPC, but then outside of that, the people that came after SPC, after we done mowed down all the grass and cut down all the trees for everybody to have it easy for them, should be like, hey, let's get K Reno, let's get Blank, let's get Cat, Dope, let's get these guys, let's get Nip and them, you know, let's reach back and grab them. Don't sit up and say, oh, you know, I look up to them, but then in public don't never acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing something major, mainstream type of stuff, and then we just get forgot about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just not cool.
Right. You see us in the bathroom in the club washing our hands. I'm the greatest rapper on earth.
Like speaking on that issue, man, it's like it's been the case.
Yeah.
So I'm numb to it.
Right.
It won't stop my movement. It won't stop our movement. It haven't stopped our movement. And that's what we show. You feel me? They know because they give the respect when they see us.
That's right.
All the greats that's here.
Right.
SPC in the building, we know them. They know us. They done told it to us for what it's worth to ourselves. To know that happened. But me being numb to it, we gotta just keep doing what we doing. Cause I can say my part, but I done heard all my brothers just say everything I'ma say. So, but with that being said, we keep it moving.
Without a doubt.
Because on the SPC anniversaries, it speak for itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They
And the
come out
time
and take a
between
week.
that. And the time between that. We don't want it seem like we ain't worry about that. It's
not an
issue. That's not that. It's like we blessed, bro. We got so many blessings. Like I say, you know, a lot of us get up, go to work, do things like that, and we still able to do music and do what we do. Speaking for me personally, myself, I do music for a living.
Right.
I can't. Dope was talking about success. That's it.
That's right.
You know, that's the definition of success, to still be sustained in your purpose solely.
Yep.
You know, and that's where a few of us are, and a lot of us still have the luxury to still work and support families and still do music when they want to do it. So it ain't about nobody. See, my thing is,
That's right.
you know, I can, because these my brothers, I can sit and disagree with certain points they say when I agree with other points they do say, but it ain't about nobody else. It's about us. We got to make it move. If we playing basketball and we know that we are a great team, we don't worry about what the other team. We know what we gonna do. They got to figure out how to stop what we do. So you know, and to have 35 years worth of history and 35 years worth of fan base, then guess what? That shows right there that we have been doing our job the proper way. Because again, when the fans go, you go, you go. It's over. So the fact that we still here, Donnie Houston wouldn't waste time interviewing somebody that it not relevant. It's like, man, why would I interview these people? Like nobody wants to hear about it. What if you hadn't heard nothing from us since '92? You might be curious. I might want to talk to them, but it ain't gonna be much to talk about. So yeah, we move forward. We don't want to focus on what nobody else is doing and what nobody else blessing from God is. We focusing on our own. That's all that matters.
Donnie Houston.